Travel didn't change my life. It made me realize I wanted a different one. For years, travel was the highlight of the year. It was what got me through the long shifts, busy weekends, and those days when I came home completely drained. I'd spend months planning every detail because I had to make every trip count. Every flight deal, every hostel, every dollar. When you work in the service industry, you learn pretty quickly that your time isn't always your own. Weekends, no. Holidays, it depends on the holiday. And vacation, well, make sure you plan ahead and get someone who will definitely cover your shifts. So whenever I finally got away, I wanted to squeeze every ounce of adventure, of time out of these few precious days, these anticipated weeks. And that's how I became a DIY budget traveler. Not because it was trendy, because it was the only way I could afford to travel. And honestly, I loved the challenge. It made me a stronger person, the type of person I am today. Because finding a cheaper flight felt like winning. Building an itinerary from scratch was almost as exciting as the trip itself. And then it was like even more exciting once everything came together. I thought I was just planning vacations, but looking back, I was unknowingly building skills that I'd eventually use every single day. Because after a while, I started noticing something. Every trip ended the same way. I'd get home, I'd unpack my bag. Once I find a room, I'd get a job, go back to work, and immediately start counting down for the next trip. And it wasn't that I hated my job. I enjoy working with people. It was that I hated the feeling that I had to wait months to feel alive again. That realization hit me harder than I expected. Because I didn't want just another vacation. I wanted a life where travel wasn't something that I had to escape to. I want a life where it could actually be a part of who I am every day of my life. That's what eventually led me to becoming a travel advisor. It showed up on my news feed on a social media account, and pressing click just changed the directory of my life completely. And it's not because I thought it would magically solve everything. I knew that from the get-go that I would have to work really hard towards a real change in career, because I know that nothing was promising me overnight success. But because I felt like it was a step toward building a life that fit the person that I wanted to become. And today I'm still building, right? I still am working my day job. I'm still learning marketing. I'm right now figuring out YouTube and other social media platforms. I'm creating content one reel at a time. But now every piece of effort feels like it's moving me towards something instead of just getting me through another week. And that's why I'm sharing this. Because I'm not the only person who's ever felt this way. Because I know if you work in a restaurant, you can relate to what I'm feeling. Maybe even healthcare, maybe even work. If you work retail, if you're in an office and you feel this way. But I really know that my fellow service industry workers can relate to me directly about this. Because burnout is real, and it is a completely relatable feeling that so many people of all different types of professions can relate to. And if you can relate to this, I want you to hear this, because you don't have to wait you don't have to have your entire life figured out today. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow. You don't need a viral success story, because sometimes all you need is permission to believe that your life can look different. And for me, that started with planning one trip, that started with one flight, and then another, and then another, and constantly staying inspired, constantly learning more, eventually giving out advice for all sorts of travel. And it becomes something more. It's something that I can now build a business around. Something I have really loved all along, travel. And that's what you'll find here. You'll find budget travel tips, regular travel tips, not just budget-esque niche, destination guides, behind the scenes of building a travel business. I'm doing this all day, every day, right? The wins, the setbacks, the lessons I'm learning as I go. Because I don't want this channel to just inspire you for your next trip. I want you to join me on my journey to becoming a travel advisor full time. And I want it to remind you that sometimes the first step toward changing your life really is simply deciding that you can change, that you can embrace change, and you don't have to stay exactly where you are. Because if that sounds like the kind of journey you want to follow, I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And I really hope to keep helping people see more of the world and maybe a little bit more for themselves too. Thanks.